So in this video, I'm going to show you how to take a file from your vendor product data and format it in order to import it into your store and your website that's run through XO. Before you do this though, if you have a vendor that you would like XO to add to our list of vendors, please use the page found on the Add Vendor page within the XO system to help us contact the vendor that you want from you and help them to get set up with their products, getting them added into XO. This is so you don't have to maintain those vendors moving forward, including the pricing and inventory data that they would send. If having the vendor add their products is not an option, you can also just fill out a spreadsheet completely from scratch. So in order to add your own products, you must have contacted XO, and we need to set up an account to allow you to be able to import products in this manner. The importing of products can be as simple as you want, or it can take advantage of some very advanced things to get your product to display and be searchable in any way that the best possible way for customers to be able to access it. To get started, you have to have a spreadsheet program. I have a spreadsheet program, Microsoft Excel, open here with a sample vendor file, vendor X, that you can see. So it has to be able to read in whatever the vendor sends you and then be able to export to CSV. So let's open the spreadsheet file. Here we have it open. So the first thing we have to do is we have to insert a secondary header row. And the reason for doing that is to identify for XO what this header actually is in XO. And really we only need to identify 4 different columns. We need to identify vendor, we need to identify item name, item number, and then a price field. So what we're going to do is look through this and find those fields that best match those 4 fields. So product, we're going to say this is probably the product ID, even though we have a UPC code, which is the unique identifier. Product is probably their unique identifier for their product number. So we're going to call this item number. Next thing that we need to look for is a name. Actually, we need the vendor. So in looking through this file, there's probably not a specific, because it came from an individual vendor, there's not a vendor. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a column, and we're going to call this vendor, and we're going to call this vendor name, because that's what XO needs it to be. And we're going to create this vendor as vendor X, because that's what we're going to call this. And then we can select all throughout the file and copy vendor X. So there, imagine that we did that for all over the rows within here. Now we have vendor X, vendor name. We have item number. Now we need item name. And looking through this, the best item name is probably sometimes the description. So I'm going to use item name here, and the last column that we need is price. And the price is actually closest to the cost. So we don't want to use DN price or map, which is usually IMAP or other things. We want to use maybe DN. So next thing we want to do is identify price, and here we have the map value, and then we have the actual cost. So we're going to call this item cost. That's it. All we have to do now is export this. If we do save as out of Excel, and then we choose CSV, comma separated value, that will rename it to CSV, and that's all we need. So at this point, we've exported the file. We don't need any of the features, so we're going to continue. So this point you can export the file as CSV and import it into the XO system. Or you can fill out the other fields that are in this file that aren't required but greatly enhance the ability of salespeople and customers to search for products that are in this list. So you notice there's lots of columns here that we didn't identify. We can identify all of those columns and map them to what they need to be in XO. For all the details on how to continue to identify all the descriptions and images and other fields that are in this file or in the file that you're trying to import, please go to www.xologic.com/pound/data standard, or if you're on this page right now, just see below. You can use the import option to actually import the file from the Add Vendor page, or if you're a vendor, you can use XO FTP provided location on the XOLogic web servers to start the import process. You'll be notified by email when the file's been processed and if there are any errors, and how to re-import if there are any errors. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks.